Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. All right, as we get ready for another college football season, Week 0 starts tomorrow. It's been a few years since I've done college football, and so I'm going to start off the season with a fantasy realignment, I guess you would call it. I know I've seen several of these online. I've done several in history. So what I have done, I've taken all 138 FBS teams and realigned them in 8 conferences, 16 divisions. The reason for this is the idea behind it is right now we have the Power 5. We have typically the playoffs come from those Power 5. And they are the elite of the elite. You know, the Alabamas, the Auburns, the Ohio States, the elite of the elite. They get the best players. They get everything because of who they are. Well, with the alignment idea here, you kind of separate those out of more of the Power 5. You kind of evenly diverse those big teams across the 8 conferences based on their region. So you're playing more regional games. You kind of align it a little bit more, kind of freshen it up some. Because you've had a lot of movement here of recent years. Teams going to this conference, this conference, this conference. You know, a couple of years ago, they basically emptied the Pac-12. But now they've kind of redeveloped the Pac-12 with some of the Mountain West teams. And a lot of the Pac-12 went to the Big Ten, the SEC. There are so many conglomerates in that SEC that's almost oversaturated. So what I have done, I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit here. So the idea would be 8 conferences, 16 divisions, so each conference has 2 divisions. 10 divisions will have 9 teams, 6 divisions will have 8 teams. So the plan would be for a 12-game season, regular season, you have 1 game versus the FCS team. So everybody in week 0, week 1, all FBS teams play an FCS team. Then you have 3 non-conference games. Then you have 8 conference games. And then you get to your playoff. Your playoff would be basically your division champs. So your first round of your playoffs is your conference title game. Once you get there, your first round, you have 8 teams. You play 4 games. Your semifinals, 4 teams. You play 2. Then your championship game, you have 2. And so from year to year, you would mix and match which conference would play which team, or which conference play which conference, or you could take those 8 teams and do some type of ranking system. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, etc., etc. I just think sometimes some of these schedules we see is some teams have it better. They play teams with worse records. For whatever reason, maybe when they wrote the schedule, the teams were great, but they've fallen off. And then there's these good losses, and there's bad wins, good losses. I'm like, what? I don't understand this. You have a committee. You have a group of people that decide basically who plays who. Let's do that on the field. Let's let the product on the field show it. So you have your divisions, you have your conference title game, you go on to the playoffs. So now, let's look at those 8 conferences and how I got teams arranged in them. Now, I took basically the names of the current conferences and reused them. 2 conferences I have expanded. Now, I kind of combined 2 of them based on the number of teams. So the Big 10, Big 12, I've kind of combined those into 1. Different teams, but the namesake-wise. So you'll understand when I get there. So first conference we have is the ACC. This is kind of the northeast of the world. We have the Boston College, UMass, UConn, Syracuse, Army, Rutgers, Temple, Delaware in 1 division. The other division would have Buffalo, Penn State, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Maryland, Navy, James Madison, and Virginia. So your Army-Navy game would actually be a conference game. Now, you can make that a non-conference if you want because of the history of it. It can always be the last game of the regular season as well, like it has been. But it would be really cool to kind of, I think, add to that history. Now it's a conference game. Now you could have those two teams having their yearly game and then still being conference champions and playing again. Or because they play, they knock each other out. Yeah, so I think it would add to that rivalry just a little bit as well. The next conference is Mid-America. This is kind of the Michigan area, kind of that upper Midwest. So Kent State, Akron, Ohio State, so there's one of your big dogs. Ohio, Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green, Toledo. On the other division, you have East Michigan, Michigan, so you have Ohio State and Michigan. Your two big dogs in this Mid-American Conference. And you Central Michigan, Michigan State, so there's another big dog as well. West Virginia, Notre Dame, Purdue, and Ball State. So you would get a Notre Dame, Ohio State. You would get a Notre Dame of Michigan. So yeah, you have some big dogs there that can still fight it out and still kind of lead the conference. That would maybe have the fact that you have all the Michigan teams together when these athletes are choosing their school based on the degree or whatever reason they're choosing the school. Maybe this gives a school like a Central Michigan or Eastern Michigan, maybe they have some degree that a player was like, hey, I like this degree. I'm going to go here. I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be in the limelight because I am playing in Michigan or I'm playing in Ohio State or Notre Dame, but I don't have to go to those schools to do that. Conference USA, this is kind of the Carolina area. Old Dominion, Liberty, Virginia Tech, Marshall, Louisville, Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Appalachian State, Wake Forest, Duke, University of North Carolina, NC State, Eastern Carolina, and Middle Tennessee. Plus, it gives the families of these players who go out of state to school an opportunity. If they stay closer to home, you can go to more games. Now, if you live in Nashville, you can go to the Vanderbilt, obviously, game, but, Kentucky's not that far. Maybe you take a weekend trip and go to North Carolina. So, there's more opportunities to see your children play in these big games. And I think more opportunities for some of these other schools to elevate themselves. The American Conference is going to be Charlotte, Clemson, South Carolina. So there's the big dog, Clemson, South Carolina. Coastal Carolina, Kennesaw State, Georgia. There's the big dog in this one. Georgia State, Georgia Tech, and Georgia Southern. The other division would be Troy, Florida State, big dog, Florida, Central Florida, South Florida, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Miami, and South Alabama. So yeah, each of these conferences so far have kind of the big dogs kind of sprinkled out through them. Again, I think it would up the play of some of the other schools as well and make college football a little bit more competitive across the board. And then the big dog conference that we all know today and love, SEC, Southeast Conference. Yes, it will be led by Auburn and Alabama. UAB, Jacksonville State, Memphis, Ole Miss. So we got a lot of current rivals here. Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Tulane. The other division full of big dogs as well. LSU, Louisiana, University of Louisiana Monroe, Louisiana Tech, Arkansas State, Oklahoma State, and Tulsa. Yeah, the SEC would still be the number one conference. It still has a lot of big dogs there. And those big dogs will eat, and they'll be... But I think it would elevate maybe a Tulsa, maybe an Arkansas, because they are playing these big dogs, maybe because they do play them on a regular basis now, that they're able to get that elite talent that maybe doesn't want to go to those schools, but they can still play it and be on national TV and show how good they are. Next up, we have the Sun Belt. This is basically Texas in the Southwest. Rice, Houston, University of Texas San Antonio, Texas State, Texas A&M, Sam Houston State, Baylor, SMU. The other division is TCU, North Texas, Texas Tech, UTEP, Mexico State, Arizona State, and San Diego State. So that whole Southwest region, obviously Texas, big dog. Texas A&M is a big dog. You have some top schools here that would still be able to showcase what they're capable of doing at Baylor. but you're not maybe getting bogged down because there's so many big teams in your conference. And then the Pac-18, yes, it was Pac-12. We've now going to be the Pac-18. It's all basically Pacific Coast schools. We have Hawaii, we have USC, UCLA, UNLV, Fresno State, San Jose State, Stanford, California, Sacramento State. In the other division, we have Nevada, Utah, Utah State, BYU, Boise State, Oregon, Washington State, and Washington. So you have these schools more in a condensed area. Travel's going to be less, so that's going to save the school some money. You're going to be able to still play some of the top schools if you're a smaller school. You're going to have more revenue from that. So again, I think personally it's a win-win for these schools. The big dogs are going to eat no matter what, but this gives the other schools a chance to up their program a little bit. Obviously, education should be the most important thing with these college athletes. Unfortunately, I don't think it is a lot of times, but the good news is they can get an education. They can play football in college if they're good enough to go on to the next level of the NFL or the CFL or the UFL. More power to them. There are other avenues, though, with a degree. Hey, you're athletic. You have the ability. You can go into NASCAR and become a pit crew member. So a lot of these athletes have other options as well if football doesn't work out as their number one for them. Then the combination of the Big 12, Big 10, we have the Big 18. It went from the Big 8 to the Big 12. Let's do the Big 18. This is basically the Midwest schools. And ironically, some of these teams were part of the Big 8 and part of the Big 12. So we're going to start with Wyoming, Colorado State, Colorado, Air Force, Nebraska, North Dakota State, Kansas, and Minnesota. The other division would be Iowa, Iowa State, Missouri, Missouri State, Wisconsin, Northwest, North Illinois, and Indiana. So kind of that Missouri, Kansas area, kind of where the Big 8 was started, the Kansas City area. So the idea comes about, again, like I said earlier, to elevate some of the schools that maybe aren't as big as other schools. No matter what, the big teams are going to get the top players. The big teams are going to be able to go out there and win games and be national champion. But I think this gives the other schools, the smaller schools, a chance to elevate themselves. I know with the NIL and all the pay and everything now, I think they need to have something in place where no matter the size of the school, each athlete is able to get paid the same amount or within a certain percentage of the amount. Because if Alabama can pay 5 times as much as a Tulane, who's going to go to Tulane, So I think they need to kind of work that out. I know as college football has grown and it's become more of a business, more of a professional versus college, it's just the money's rolling in, and I think they need to kind of spread that out a little bit. That's the kind of the idea behind this. But yeah, it's a little fun to do, go through, look at all 138 FBS schools. So stay tuned to Robert Sports Show as we do week to week, 25 games per week. Obviously, week 0 we'll do the 8 games, and then week 1 to 17. But stay tuned for the week 0 preview. We'll do picks against the spread and over under. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports content.